This is KIMA. Now live from Yakima, Michelle Bingle, Mike Malmin, and no-wait weather from Stu Seibel. This is KIMA's 5 o'clock live.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
The FBI and Yakima Nation Tribal Police are investigating an early morning homicide at a Wapato housing development.
At about 3:30 a.m., Wapato and Tribal...
Now back to Newsbeat at 11 on KIMA.
A 16-year-old boy made a preliminary juvenile court appearance today in connection with a shooting yesterday at Yakima's downtown transit center. The teenager will likely be charged with first-degree assault in adult court because of a law which requires 16 and 17-year-olds accused of serious crimes to be tried as adults. His bail is set at $50,000. The young man is accused of firing a gunshot that struck another teenager in the leg. In light of yesterday's incident, police have beefed up security around the transit station. A 33-year-old Oregon woman was flown to Seattle's Harborview Medical Center late today after being involved in a fatal accident last night on White Pass. One person died in that accident, and Christiana Spradling of Terrebonne, Oregon, was seriously injured. At about 9:30 last night, a truck driven by Spradling was struck head-on by another vehicle that had crossed over into her lane about 45 miles west of Natchez. Both vehicles caught fire. The driver of the other car that crossed lanes died of massive trauma and burns. The identity is not known. Spradling was transported by helicopter to Memorial Hospital last night and is listed in serious condition tonight at Harborview. A 6-year effort to create the Yakima Gateway Center received final approval today from the City Council. Developer Gary Lukehart says the development will include a Target department store and a major grocery store. It will be located on undeveloped land near the Yakima Avenue Freeway interchange.
It's really a relief, at least, to get to this stage. I think the next thing we have to do is to get the highway thing going, and it's supposed to start just after the first of the year to get the interchange in. So everything seems to be falling in place, but it wasn't an easy battle. It's taken 6 years to do it, and getting the funding for the off ramps, and then getting the package put together and assembling all the property. There was approximately 60 parcels of land there, and that's an enormous amount of property to try to tie together and make it into one piece, and we've been able to do it, fortunately.
The $17 million freeway interchange improvement project is slated to begin early next year. Meantime, demolition work is underway for Yakima's new downtown police station and legal center. An entire city block will be leveled over the next several weeks to make way for the project. The first structure to feel the wrecker's ball was the old Wickstrom Motors building. Damaged by fire earlier this year, it didn't take long for wrecking crews to finish their job. Their next target is the historic Armory building. Demolition there is set for next week. Police Chief Ples Green says construction could begin in November and should be completed by the end of 1995. A year and a half after an arson-caused fire destroyed a Toppenish church, signs of new life are emerging. The Faith Lutheran Church is making a comeback. The 160-member congregation will soon have a church it can once again call its own. The $400,000 facility is being built near Highway 97 in Toppenish. Pastor Brian Daniels says the new location is more spacious, which will benefit churchgoers.
It's been now a year and a half just about since the fire, and so people are getting some pretty good emotional distance just because of the time, but to see the new one coming up and to see how nice it's going to be, I think has really helped in a lot of ways for a lot of folks to get over that shock and that hurt.
The Old Faith Lutheran Church, formerly located in the middle of Toppenish, turned into an inferno on May 20th of last year when arsonists struck a match to gasoline they had splashed around the altar. In the meantime, the church has shared space with the Yakima Valley Lutheran Hispanic Ministry. Church officials hope to open the facility in time for Thanksgiving services. And Allan's here with hockey.
Yes, the National Hockey League lands in the Tri-Cities for a night. And what a night for some youngsters in Yakima, back with sports after the timeout.
Back to Newsbeat at 11 on KIMA.
This portion of tonight's news is brought to you by Northwest Ford.
It's not part of the U.S. mission in Haiti to keep order in the streets, so as supporters of Haiti's exiled president cheered U.S. troops today, the Americans could only stand by as Haitian police clubbed their countrymen and fired tear gas. Some of the demonstrators were angry when the Americans didn't protect a man who witnesses say was clubbed to death by a policeman. Back in Washington, D.C., meantime, today, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff warned that Americans might eventually get caught up in these clashes. A former McMinnville, Oregon 5th grade teacher has been indicted on 196 sex abuse charges involving children at the grade school where he taught. James Mickelson was originally indicted more than a year ago on charges involving one of the alleged victims. The new indictment alleges a total of 6 victims. The indictment alleges Mickelson improperly touched children at the Memorial Grade School in McMinnville between 1987 and 1990. School dropouts drop out on themselves and their education. Despite this, it's a major problem that's not going away. In fact, here in Yakima, about 10% of the kids are at risk of leaving school. As KIMA's Julie McAllister reports, you can find many of these kids just around the corner from campus.
Well, if we have one student drop out, it's a big problem. Yes, it's a big problem.
Then Scott Schenk is one student too many. He's a school dropout. Scott left his education behind more than a year ago.
Oh, it's okay, I guess. I don't know. Kind of been hard, lived on the streets for a while, and finally found a job and moved back home.
Kids that leave school may also leave their friends and social connections behind. That's why Scott came to Eisenhower High School today. Though he never went to the school, a lot of his friends do. For Scott Schenk and other high school dropouts, it's not only a tough experience, it may also be a lonely one as well.
I saw all my friends going to homecoming and dances and games and having good times with their boyfriends, and it was really confusing inside to be stuck at home, you know.
15-year-old Lewis dropped out of high school when she found out she was pregnant, but she dropped back in when she realized without an education her job options were limited.
It's so hard to make it without an education anymore, but they just think, oh, I could screw around forever and not do anything that I don't want to do. But I don't know. They're not doing too good right now.
A plain dislike of school drives many kids to quit, knowing they can find some type of work. Plus the fact it's just easy. But school officials say the home life a student has is also important. It's what led Stacy Southern to leave school last year, though she's now back in.
I figured I wasn't going to get very far without my diploma, and the most I was going to be able to do is wait tables or be sitting somewhere looking really stupid.
For the students that find their way back to school, they're the lucky ones. But for the others who do quit, their education may end once they walk through those school doors for the last time.
It's important, but I can't get back in, so I don't know.
In Yakima, Julie McAllister reporting for KIMA News.
And we couldn't ask for better weather this time of year.
Nice.
Is it sticking around?
It's warm, and temperatures are going to continue.
The season has ended for the Natchez Rangers. That clock struck midnight against Riverview tonight. A wild card winner of this mini prep playoff would plow on. The loser would bow out. First play of the game now, the Rangers' Jason Yates on the halfback pass, picked off by Riverview's Brandon Chavez, although it looks incomplete, doesn't it? Doesn't matter. Panthers pounce. Watch this. Steve Marshall from 5. Give him 6. Riverview went ahead. Riverview stayed ahead. And they're coming back for more right now. Marshall again right at you. The Rangers couldn't put out the fire. The Panthers would score again. Natchez gets knocked out. All in all, though, a great season for the Rangers. For tonight's Monday Night Madness, we saddle up and head them out for the Big D. The Cowboys in control all the way against the Jersey Giants. Alvin Harper for the Pokes with the points, and Barry with the grin, and Harper with the slam dunk. A little later, Harper would get slam dunked, a regular New York mob mugging. Harper hits hard. He's out with a sprained knee. Cowboys knock out New York with a few extra punches thrown in for that cheap shot on Harper. They're not extinct, but they may be put on the season's endangered species list soon. Yes, the Seahawks, as we go stalking the rare Sunday Seattle highlight. There's one. Eugene Robinson knocking the block off a Bingle. Maybe hatless in Seattle, but no longer winless are those toothless Tigers from Ohio. This pretty play by Raphael Robinson couldn't even save the day as Seattle blows one. Cincinnati, with the overtime field goal, steals one. Hail the victors. The Eisenhower girls cross-country team is the state champion. The cadets posed for victory pictures this afternoon after capturing the first-place prize at the state championships in Pasco over the weekend. Aaliyah Thome led the way, finishing first and leading Ike to the title. He did that by topping top-ranked Meade.
Oh, we started jumping up and down and going, yay, oh my gosh, we won. We're really happy, of course.
So what happens now?
Aleathome is going on to nationals, and in 2 weeks we start training for track.
Kind of, it's not never ending, is it?
Yeah, we get about a 2-week vacation.
Last year we just had a disastrous year, so
this is kind of nice.
it's really nice. It's a good way to go out of it, and I think we deserve it. We really deserve it because we work so hard, and you know, it's tough. Everything has to fall together, and it finally did.
Only 2 seniors on that team. Watch out for the cadets again next year. Well, there's not much left of this year for the Huskies and Cougars. Washington State knocked out of the Rose Bowl race by USC this week.
Changed drastically over the years. No longer are the services viewed as alternatives to college, but rather places people can find careers. One place this message is heard loud and clear is in high schools. Recruiters visit students on a regular basis to enlist them as their future. But are these recruiters always above board?
It depends on the recruiter who's doing it. There's always ethical problems because people are not perfect. But my job as the non-commissioned officer in charge is to ensure that that doesn't happen.
But the problems that do arise bother one Yakima educator. Eisenhower's assistant principal, Jim Stewart, says he's seen some unethical recruiting done at his school.
I think sometimes when recruiting services have gone out of their way for whatever reason to let the end justify the means in terms of counting bodies, how many people can we recruit, that we get into real trouble.
Stewart says he doesn't believe kids always go into the military with their eyes open or for the right reasons.
Certain kids are vulnerable when it comes to who they are and what they are, and they tend to fall for that sales approach that says, come with me, come into our program, and you will be a complete person.
But both Army and Marine officers KIMA spoke with today say they're always on the lookout for kids who want in the military for the wrong reasons.
And we are more into training and the mental aspect of an individual. You know, we don't have that little saying like, we're going to try to make a man out of you, something like that. We want you to be a man when you come to us.
In fact, recruiters can't just sign up students. They must go through a lengthy evaluation process to make sure the military is where those who are interested want to be. On Monday, KIMA will look at how kids are evaluated and will go with a recruiter to a local high school. In Yakima, Julie McAllister reporting for KIMA News.
Drop everything and read.
January 31st, drop everything and read. Yakima, the All-America City. Why is Yakima? We've shown Yakima is an All-America City. Together, we'll keep it that way.
You're watching KIMA News at 11.
The fight over evidence has pushed the long-awaited opening statements in O.J. Simpson's double murder trial back until Tuesday. As the last order of the day, Superior Court Judge Lance Ito gave instructions to jurors. They waited all day to take their seats in the courtroom. Defense attorneys surprised the prosecution today with a list of 34 new witnesses and a videotape of police walking through blood at the murder scene. Defense attorneys for the first time also offered evidence that might back up Simpson's claim that he was at home at the time of the killings. They say a witness says she saw Simpson's white Ford Bronco outside his home at a time the prosecution alleges he was 2 miles away, killing his ex-wife and her friend. Thousands of people waving signs, white crosses, and red roses rallied in the heart of Washington, D.C. today. They began the demonstration near the White House to protest the 1973 Supreme Court decision that legalized abortion. Yesterday was the actual 22nd anniversary of the Roe v. Wade ruling. Activists on both sides of the issue are holding rallies, prayer vigils, and demonstrations to mark the occasions. Meantime, abortions in Washington state are on the decline. About 27,000 abortions were performed in 1993. That's 3,000 fewer than when abortions peaked in 1990 and the lowest number since 1986. No figures are available for last year, but abortion providers say the decline continued. 2 police officers have been assigned full-time to the Yakima School District. KIMA's Julie McAllister tells us why.
Last year, both of Yakima's high schools were faced with non-students coming onto campus and causing problems.
They were coming there to assault kids or to commit crimes, I guess, on the school campus.
In fact, educators say the potential for violence is much greater from kids who come on the school grounds who don't belong there, because school officials say they have no control over them. That is, until now.
You can mark me out at Eisenhower High School.
Bill Desmain is one of 2 police officers that reports for duty, not at the police station, but at school.
Just by me being here in uniform and a marked patrol car outside can prevent a lot from happening. Just because the fact that I'm around, they know I'm around, and you know, if you've got any brains at all, you're not going to try to start a fight or do anything when you've got a cop right there on campus full time.
Having a school resource officer reinforces a safe environment so students can do what they came for, and that's to learn.
You can walk through any part of this hall when the classes are out and you'll see him everywhere. I don't think there's a student that hasn't seen him, so you know he's here and you know he's there for you.
Educators say having police mingle with the students is a move other schools of Yakima's size across the state have already made. And they say students feel more comfortable with police than they would with metal detectors or other search devices.
I'm happy to see him here because it makes me feel safer, I guess.
It's nice to see a police officer in the hallways during, you know, the intermission between classes and after school, and seeing that there is someone here.
Since both high schools already have security guards, Desmain's job isn't to watch them so much as it is to watch for outside problems. Those school officials say their problems aren't that big. They'd rather be safe than sorry. In Yakima, Julie McAllister reporting for KIMA News.
The State Corrections Department will announce the site for a new prison in the next few days. 3 sites are vying for the $160 million prison. They are Grandview, Goldendale, and Grays Harbor County. Increased public opposition has hurt Grandview's chances for the facility. And Allan's here with a check of sports. Super Bowl, what, 6 days away? 5, 6, 7 days away?
5, 6, or 7. Are you ready to make a little Super Bowl wager yet?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that later in the week. We'll also talk...
Testified he didn't notice any problems with Smith's driving until the car crashed into a pole. On the witness stand, Warren said they had been ordering rounds of beer and whiskey at 2 bars the night of the crash. Mike Fryer, the Seahawk paralyzed in the accident, also took the stand, but Fryer's testimony yesterday was not what you might expect. Cindy Glenn has been covering the trial and reports from the King County Courthouse.
Do you specifically remember seeing Lamar Smith drink beer that night?
No.
And that's how the testimony went all afternoon. Mike Fryer, who is paralyzed below the waist, insists he has no memory of Lamar Smith getting drunk the night of the accident.
Do you remember whether or not the defendant Lamar Smith had a Crown Royal drink?
No.
The testimony is crucial because Smith was driving this four-wheeler the night of the accident. Police pictures show how badly smashed it was after it hit a telephone pole. Other pictures and evidence show beer cans in the back seat of the car the night of the accident. Prosecutors claim they know why Fryer is not pointing the finger at defendant Lamar Smith.
And you knew that if Mr. Smith was found guilty in the criminal prosecution, that would limit your ability to collect money damages from the city of Kirkland.
The prosecution is actively attempting to assist the city of Kirkland from avoiding their own responsibility for having a very dangerous roadway out there.
Lamar Smith and Mike Fryer talked in the hallway during a break, but the two deny they've coordinated their stories. Meanwhile, the jury was transfixed when Fryer demonstrated how he can just barely move his fingers and arms.
On one leg, trying to step one leg and drag with the other leg. Like the hatchback Notre Dame, I guess.
A car drove into a lake near Stanwood last night, and 2 of the 4 occupants drowned. Snohomish County authorities say the men are Ukrainian immigrants and mistook a boat ramp for a road. The vehicle sank upside down, trapping 2 of the victims. The other 2 swam to shore.
Pastors from several Yakima Valley churches, including Spanish and English-speaking congregations, met today. The gathering is in reaction to recent events pastors say widen the gap of cultural differences between people. One example was the recent controversy over the English-only Union Gap Tavern. Pastor Ken Parsley of the Church on the Move says there's a positive message to be told.
There's some positive things happening in the relationships between Hispanics and Anglos in the city, and that churches throughout the valley are actually cooperating with one another and building relationships around the Word of God.
Parsley says Valley churches are taking steps to break down barriers among different ethnic groups.
The problem is simply that people don't understand one another, and that's not just necessarily out of language. That's sometimes out of fear. So I think if we expose ourselves and take the risks of getting to know new people, people from different cultures, we'll find that people generally are pretty much the same no matter where they come from or what language they speak.
St. Michael's Episcopal Church is holding a meeting tonight to help narrow the cross-cultural gap.
Schools are linking onto the information superhighway. As KIMA's Julie McAllister shows us, through the touch of a keyboard, students are seeing the world.
What did you make your lunar surface out of?
The president wants all schools to be linked to internet by the year 2000. But this school is already online today, talking to schools in New Zealand, Russia, Taiwan, and a little closer to home, Idaho. Student Skip Colvin explains.
This is a project we're working on called See You See Me. It goes over the internet using 2 video cameras. They can see us and we can see them. This internet stuff is really pretty cool. It's bringing us into the next generation. It's kind of like Star Trek. You can see across the country in a blink.
Students like Danny Lineca do everything from making 3-dimensional objects designed on the computer to sending their work worldwide.
You know that everyone's going to see it around the world, and that people from Australia can see what you've actually done when you live in Yakima.
In fact, teacher Glenn Krieger says Yakima Eisenhower High School is considered one of the lead schools in the state in teaching technology to students.
For these students now and for the generations to come, the internet is going to be a place where they're going to be doing business. It's also a place where they're going to be doing a lot of their communicating.
It's exciting to student Jessica Canizales.
It's kind of neat to be able to talk to people across the United States and see them. That's just kind of astonishing to me.
Coming to class here means surfing the world internet style. For KIMA News, Julie McAllister reporting.
And Sue joins us now with a check on the weather. A little break in the snow. We're going to see any more?
A little bit, yeah. But we have a chance for some snow showers across the valley.
Of repair to that facility, it looks like literally all the plumbing has to be repiped and replaced.
Now, the administration building is only 2 years old. It's not the first major problem with the building. Employees last year discovered that the building was never connected to the city's sewer system.
I'm not an expert enough to know what, is the real responsibility here, or who is at fault. Right now, we need to get it fixed and get our people back working.
And Zay says broken water pipes have also damaged equipment at the new police station and legal center. City officials say no damage estimate is available at this time.
While a week of sub-zero temperatures can make life difficult.